A teenage girl named Lily began waking up every morning with mysterious bruises on her body. Initially, the bruises were faint and infrequent, barely noticeable unless someone looked closely. Her parents, Mark and Sarah, dismissed them as harmless. They figured Lily might have bumped into something during the day without realizing it. However, as weeks turned into months, the bruises became darker, more pronounced, and alarmingly frequent. Lily's parents grew concerned. The bruises now appeared every morning without fail, and they seemed to cover new areas of her body each time. Sarah suggested that Lily might have an iron deficiency, a condition that could cause her to bruise easily. Mark agreed, and they made an appointment with her pediatrician. Before the visit, however, an unexpected complication arose. Lily had been attending a local summer camp where she spent her days hiking, swimming, and making crafts. One afternoon, a camp counselor pulled Lily aside and gently asked her about the bruises on her arms and legs. Lily explained that she had no idea where they came from, which only deepened the counselor's concern. Following protocol, the camp staff reported the matter to Child Protective Services (CPS). When CPS arrived at Mark and Sarah's home, the couple was stunned. The social worker explained that the bruises raised suspicion of potential abuse. Mark and Sarah were devastated. They loved their daughter deeply and would never harm her. Despite their insistence, the lack of an explanation for Lily's bruises made the situation look grim. To their relief, the social worker agreed to put the investigation on hold while they awaited the results of Lily's upcoming doctor's appointment. At the doctor's office, Lily underwent a battery of tests. Blood work, imaging, and physical examinations were conducted to rule out medical conditions like anemia, clotting disorders, or even something as rare as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. When the results came back, everything was normal. The doctor reassured the family that Lily was healthy but admitted they had no explanation for the bruises. While this news was a relief, it also left Mark and Sarah in a troubling limbo. They were back to square one, and CPS still required answers. Determined to uncover the truth, Mark decided to take matters into his own hands. On his way home from work, he purchased a video camera. That evening, he set it up in Lily's room, ensuring it captured the entire space. He explained to Lily that they wanted to see if anything unusual happened during the night. Although Lily was nervous, she agreed, eager to solve the mystery herself. That night, Mark and Sarah kissed Lily goodnight and left her room. Both parents struggled to sleep, anxious about what the footage might reveal. The next morning, Lily woke up with fresh bruises on her legs. Mark immediately retrieved the camera, and he and Sarah sat down to review the tape together. What they saw sent chills down their spines. On the recording, Lily appeared to sleep peacefully for the first couple of hours. Then, as the clock ticked past midnight, she began to stir. Her movements were slow and deliberate at first, but soon she shifted onto all fours. What followed was nothing short of bizarre. Lily began crawling backward across the floor, her movements unnatural and almost inhuman. Her limbs bent in ways that seemed impossible, and her head tilted at an odd angle. She crawled into corners of the room, bumping into furniture and walls, which likely explained the bruises. Occasionally she would pause, sitting eerily still for minutes at a time before resuming her movements. Mark and Sarah watched in stunned silence. The way their daughter moved didn't just seem strange, it felt otherworldly. It was clear now why the bruises kept appearing, but the footage raised more questions than it answered. Why was Lily crawling like this in her sleep? And what could they do to help her? The couple decided to show the footage to CPS to prove their innocence. The social worker was equally shocked by the video but agreed that it absolved Mark and Sarah of any wrongdoing. The case was promptly closed. However, the social worker suggested that Lily see a sleep specialist to uncover the root cause of her nocturnal behavior. The family scheduled an appointment with a renowned sleep specialist, Dr. Patel, who reviewed the footage with professional curiosity. Dr. Patel explained that Lily might be suffering from a rare form of parasomnia, a disorder that causes abnormal movements during sleep. Parasomnias could range from sleepwalking to night terrors, but Lily's case appeared unique. The morning after recording the footage, the parents sat in stunned silence as they replayed the video. Their daughter's movements were unnatural, like something out of a horror movie. She twisted and contorted her body, crawling backward across the floor with eerie precision. Occasionally she bumped into furniture, which seemed to explain the mysterious bruises. The bruises on her arms and legs aligned with the edges of her bed frame and desk. Despite their relief at finally understanding the source of the bruises, her parents were deeply disturbed. What could be causing her to move like this in her sleep? Was it some kind of rare sleep disorder? The footage raised more questions than it answered. The father immediately contacted social services, explaining the situation and sharing the video. The social worker, though equally shocked by the footage, acknowledged the parents' innocence. After watching the video, the case against them was closed, but the family's concerns were far from resolved. They took their daughter to a sleep specialist the following week. At the appointment, the parents described the nighttime movements and shared the video evidence. The doctor listened carefully, his face growing serious. "This could be a severe case of parasomnia," he explained. Parasomnia is a category of sleep disorders that include abnormal movements or behaviors during sleep. Sleepwalking is one form, but what your daughter is experiencing seems far more intense. The specialist recommended an overnight sleep study to monitor the girl's brain activity and physical movements during her sleep. The family agreed, desperate for answers. That night, their daughter was hooked up to wires and electrodes in the clinic's lab, with cameras trained on her every move. The results were startling. The doctors observed abnormal bursts of brain activity during her sleep. These bursts coincided with her erratic movements. However, there was no clear explanation for why this was happening. The sleep specialist concluded that she was experiencing a rare and extreme form of sleepwalking, possibly triggered by stress, genetic predisposition, or an undiagnosed condition. To manage the situation, the specialist suggested a combination of therapies, including cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT), to address potential stressors, a strict sleep schedule, and creating a safer sleeping environment. Her parents child-proofed her bedroom, padding the furniture and removing sharp objects to minimize the risk of injury. For a time, the situation seemed to improve. The little girl continued her therapy and followed the specialist's advice. The bruises became less frequent, and her nighttime movements seemed to diminish. Her parents felt a cautious sense of relief. But then things took an unexpected turn. One night, her father decided to set up the camera again, just to make sure everything was truly under control. The next morning, he reviewed the footage, expecting to see nothing unusual. What he saw, however, sent chills down his spine. This time, his daughter wasn't just crawling backward. She was speaking in a low, guttural voice, though the words were unintelligible. Her body movements were even more erratic, as if she were fighting against some unseen force. At one point, she stopped moving entirely, crouched in the corner of the room, staring at something off-camera. Her parents were terrified. Was this still a medical issue, or was there something more sinister at play? They decided to consult a different specialist, this time a neurologist, to rule out any underlying brain conditions. The neurologist ordered an MRI scan, searching for abnormalities that could explain her behavior. The results showed no signs of tumors, lesions, or other physical issues. Medically, their daughter was healthy. The lack of an explanation only deepened their fears. Out of desperation, the parents reached out to a local priest for spiritual guidance. While neither parent was particularly religious, the unexplainable nature of their daughter's condition left them questioning everything they thought they knew. The priest agreed to visit their home and perform a blessing. He prayed over the little girl, her room, and the entire house. He assured the parents that, whatever was happening, they were not alone in their struggle. For a while, things quieted down. The girl's strange movements ceased and the bruises stopped appearing. Her parents dared to hope that the worst was behind them. But the experience left a lasting impact on the family, a reminder of how little we truly understand about the mysteries of the human mind and perhaps even the world beyond.